Good morning. It's 8:29, a minute before the market open. It's 4:20. Um, Market's open up in a minute here. We're live trading Nasdaq futures. This again is a Topstep combine. This is step 2. I think I'm on day 5 today. As you can see, we're still above the 150K starting point. We got to just shy of 2K and gave up just a little bit under 1500 yesterday. So gave up most of our profits yesterday, but we're looking to trade and get some of that back. Let's switch over here. Looking at the Nasdaq on the 15-minute, looks bearish. We're underneath the 200 EMA. Same on the 30. And the hour is just above, so not really much confluence on the hourly charts, or on the time frame, the time-based charts anyway. But we're seeing the market push up aggressively. We see it just opened here, and we see an aggressive push up. So we're gonna look to go long off of whatever pullback, just based off of this opening push at the market here. The delta looks very strong. Buyers definitely in control. So we'll be looking to take longs if we can get a pullback somewhere. I don't want to jump in right at open. We'll wait at least a few minutes and see what's going on before we participate anywhere. And for those who are clicking onto the video and not watching the live stream, I know it's probably really inconvenient to watch a good hour or 2 hours of video. So feel free to just skip to the very end, probably the last 4 or 5 minutes, and just watch that. I will do a recap of all the trades that I take on the day. So pushed right through VWAP, right to start. Looks like it's retracing a little bit. A little hesitant to add here, just because, again, it's really early, and then two, there's a big volume node right above on the first deviation above VWAP, but I don't want to add right into a resistance. I'd rather pull back and get away from that, and plus I just want to give the market more time to really show what direction it wants to go, right? Like, it's pushing up right now, but we know that lately it's been downtrending. So I really want to give it a chance to make that big push or the big correction and show its hand before I start, trying to get in there in either direction. Something that I am changing up from what I was doing the past couple days is I've been using the hour chart and taking my bias based off of that and only taking longs above that. But what I'm finding is that it's too long of a time frame. So my trades, I don't know how long my average trade lasts, but it's nowhere near what you would need for, based on an hour chart. So I'm thinking I'm going to either shrink the time frame and go based off of like a 15. 15 will be like the primary emphasis, and then maybe use the 30-minute as well, and then, the 5 just to supplement the info. But probably not paid so much attention to the hour like I have been. So we're seeing the pullback here. If buyers start to look good again and we can get back above VWAP, I will look to add. And if not, if sellers continue to come through and this thing starts breaking down, then we'll see what it does as it gets towards the lows before we do anything. Actually, not looking too bad for taking a short now, honestly. Just gonna keep waiting. I don't want to get stuck accidentally inside of some sideways action on either side, so just gonna be patient here. Okay. Let's see if it breaks here. Moment of truth. Seller's definitely in control, as you can see on the delta. See if they can flush this through the -1 deviation and push down, or if it decides to bounce and start pushing up again. I don't want the market to range today. I'm not very good at trading within a range like that. So I will try to be patient and see if it can break strongly one way or the other before I start, getting into it. Yes, also chopping around this morning. Broken through VWAP. Buyers coming back in. Let's see if we can get above the previous high. Okay, we've just ticked a double top. And it's broken, so market's looking long and strong. Or like it wants to be anyway. Now whatever pullback we can get, we will add wherever it is, as long as it doesn't make a new low. Trying to remain patient here. Stuck right at VWAP. See what it wants to do here. If it wants to break down or bounce off of it. I don't really think a VWAP bounce is necessarily at play here. I mean, this is a downward move, but I wouldn't consider this a very strong move downward into VWAP. Nevertheless, if it does decide to bounce right at this spot, then I will take it. Market a little undecisive here. Put a buy step up there. Deleting that. All right, let's wait. A lot of sellers here. Delta hasn't made a new low yet. So as long as Delta doesn't make a new low and the price on the actual chart does not make a new low, I won't hesitate to take a long on any sort of push back to the upside. However, we are getting pretty close on both.
Order filled.
Entering on the first sign of buyers here. We'll see if they can push it back up or if it flushes. If it flushes down and I end up, holding the one contract again for the full 1500, that would suck, but it just kind of is what it is. If I were to draw a trend line here, just to make very visible what I'm actually looking at, right? Start from here. I'm basically saying this trend line should hold. Gotta push. Gonna move a stop to break even. Just somewhere in the green. And hold this and see how far up it can get. After we cross 500, then I'll look to actually move it up somewhere closer.
Order
So I'm
filled.
just gonna hit exit. I don't like how it triple topped here. So one trade in, quick trade. Maybe could have held it and left it. I decided to jump out because I didn't like the way it topped up here again. Part of that too is just the way I got wrecked yesterday. I think I'm a little bit more loss averse than I should be. So really gotta focus on not letting yesterday play into how I'm trading today. The truth be told, the delta still looks strong, even though it did double top here. Either way, this node is still above. Really, the next place I'd be looking to add, if I was to hold that trade, the next place I'd be looking to add would have been, a break of this node, and then maybe like a pullback somewhere into it to see if I could add there. That's if it can break through. I think we're okay to take our profits here and just, wait and see what the market will bring next. Okay, we're stuck right at this spot. Looks like looks like there's a lot of resistance here. I think this is the opening range high. If I'm not mistaken, go 5 minutes in. Yeah. And 15. So it looks like it's breaking, pushing to the upside. Delta still looks strong, buyers strong. The ES is pushing up as well. I like the way things look right now. I like that the volume is starting to shift as we're pushing up. Let's say that was one mistake. Not a huge mistake, but a mistake was exiting out of this. I should have left my stop alone where it was, where I moved it up. Should have left it there and just let this keep going, because I wouldn't have gotten stopped out even on my break even stop. And then after this push, I could have moved it, you know, somewhere around here, right? At least just to give it a bit more of a chance. But that's okay. Not a major mistake, just kind of a little tweak, right? Okay, pulling back. We'll see where it gets to. I would like to see it hold up on VWAP. You know, absolutely not going to take another trade if it breaks underneath, you know, this low here. If that happens, then, you know, I'm just going to be patient, look for a completely different setup. I won't add here. I would like to see more of a drop. I would like to see it actually get to VWAP before I would feel comfortable actually adding. I don't necessarily think that would be wrong to add off of this little V, but definitely riskier than I would like. So we'll chill and just wait. It looks like it's gearing up to go long again. It looks like it's just a very classic build-up formation here. Although again, as I always say, like this is the Nasdaq, so you always have to be aware of the fact that, you know, like this push here from 907 down to 960. What is that? Oh no, sorry, 55, 53. It's like 60. It's basically, this is a 60-point push. And so when it's ranging like this within, I don't know, 15, 20 points, not even 20, it's more like 10 to 20 points. It's really nothing, right? Like this is very small of a movement for the Nasdaq. So even though this looks like it's building up and pushing, sellers could come in at any time and rip this thing down, anywhere from 25 to or more points, right? I was going to say 25 to 50, but let's be real. We've seen 100-point pushes on the Nasdaq consecutive days in a row, so it's not anything out of the ordinary. So, in all that being said, it just means I'm cautious when I see build up trendy formations like this, right? Like if you drew a trend line off of this, yes, you would have a nice upward slope, but it's based on like 5-10 point candles that are all just barely, creeping up above each other. So I don't want to say anything in the market is insignificant or negligible information, but it's almost like this formation here almost doesn't matter. It's almost irrelevant. Let's go look at what things look like on our time-based charts. The hour, the Nasdaq is engulfing. 9 minutes to close on that candle. Let's look at the 5. The 5 is trying to give us a bearish engulfing. It's a candle still fairly early in the candle, so 3.5 minutes till that one closes. 15 is giving us is bullish, but we're coming into the 200 EMA on the 15, which is going to be a strong resistance. There's also a pivot level that is right above, so may have to be careful about buying until we break above 930s. 30 minutes. The 30 minute is confirming the same thing as the 15. And honestly, the 5 is confirming it as well if we're accounting for the pivot levels. So, okay. While I was doing that, looks like I missed a nice entry here. I'm not gonna FOMO in. I'm gonna, take the information we just gathered, right? We know that there's resistance around 933, which, you come back on this chart, and probably easier if I just make this big. But looking at the time charts, we identified there's resistance at 933. We can draw that with a box here. 933 will go down to 930, and we'll extend this up to like 9. I don't know what's going on with stream. Hopefully it comes back. But anyway, move this up to 935-ish. It should be there. It's too high. That's it. Just so we know where that resistance is, just so it's obvious. YouTube is telling me my stream health is poor. I don't know what's going on with the internet or with my connection that's making that happen, but hopefully that, sorts itself out. Let's see. I'd like to see a pullback here. Market pulling back nicely for us. I'm hoping that that fixed it. It looks like it did. It says excellent condition, so it looks like it corrected it. Okay. Seeing a nice pullback here. Hopefully this can hold. We'll look to buy one. Again, just don't want to see a new low. Okay, adding even if it ticks exactly to the previous, just don't want to see a new low. The only low that I'll take exception to is if it does a VWAP bounce. If it bounces off VWAP and starts pushing back up, I'll definitely take that long there. I want to see some buyers come in on the delta before I jump in.
Order filled.
Alright, so we're going to add one there. Looks like at least the candlesticks, the way they're forming, looks like it's trying to creep down, but not quite able to do so. So we'll add there and see if we can't get a push back up to, hopefully at least to the opening range again. It'd be nice to get the push through there, but we'll see if that happens or not. Buyers starting to come in. Buyers starting to get back in control of this. Would like to see a big push here. Just making mental note of where 500 is. $500 would be right at 935. Just gonna move that far away. Again, volume adjusting at this level, and then we're looking bullish as it's doing so. So I'm thinking the volume is adjusting because of buyers coming in. So hopefully it continues to push up. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong, but at this very moment it looks bullish. It's just a matter of can it break through this resistance or not. If it doesn't here pretty soon, we'll probably get a big sell-off, and then I'll look to scale somewhere, maybe VWAP or wherever I can, right? Not quite putting in a local low just yet. Looks like it's about to. Looking at the delta's starting to get really bearish. Okay, so now we're seeing choppy action. Never a fan of choppy price movement like that. I wanted to see this continue the uptrend and push to the upside. See the standard deviation bands start to expand and get apart from each other, and see if we can't start trending right there. That move there made this look a bit choppy. We'll see what it does here, if it starts pushing up or not. Just now that I'm aware of like this choppiness that's here, I'm gonna be a little bit more hesitant to do things. Again, I don't like to trade choppy markets or when it's sideways. I prefer to just trade only on the trend days, and when it's choppy, my goal usually ends up to be just lose as little money as possible or just stop trading entirely. The 5-minute on the Nasdaq, we have the 200 EMA as support that we're about to run into. See if that holds, if it breaks through. Looks like it's just crossed over and went back. And you can see on that previous 15-minute bar, the 8:45 bar, right? That ended at 9 a.m. It got right up to the 200 EMA on the 15-minute, which is 19.3. What was that? 19.3. I'm sorry, 13.931. So it just bounced right off of that where that opening range high is, right? Bounced right off the bottom of the top of it and started pushing down. So if this does bounce strongly here, I will add.
Order filled.
Adding on the VWAP bounce, just because I'm always going to take the VWAP bounce. Start adjusting stops. What I don't want is for this to sell off strongly, suddenly. Not quite breaking underneath VWAP just yet, but at the moment doesn't look like it's going to hold. VWAP broken. I'm just going to cut it off there. Looking very bearish, so I'm just going to cut it off. I'm not going to try and scale into anything more there. So you can see we rejected the opening range high and came down. So not trending anymore. May end up flipping to the short side here. Delta is very, very bearish. Just not worth it to try and fight this. Looking to short if it doesn't break this this trend, this downtrend that's formed.
Order filled.
Throw one on to the short side. See if this thing wants to continue down. I have too much stuff on my charts. It just looks cluttered. Like, it makes sense to me, but it just looks, it's annoying to look at. Trend line still holding. See if we can't get another leg down. Just watching the delta to see what the delta does. I think if the delta just shoots down suddenly and we have a big red bar on the delta and have a lot of sellers, then I would just market short a second contract right here, but not looking like it wants to. It's actually looking like it wants to start coming back up again. I want to add a contract short here, but not getting what I want on the delta. Trying to look just at the behavior of the delta. We'll
Order
add one
filled.
short there. Being very, very aggressive here. If this does start pushing up on us, then I'll just mark it out. one of these further down. There. That one there. Hoping the market will break down and just run down for us. We'll see what it wants to do. The delta is looking choppy, more on the bear side, but a little bit choppy. In theory, there shouldn't be much resistance at this level where we currently are. If it does decide to hold up here, then it is what it is. It decided to hold up there. But certainly there's more resistance above than below. Granted, with all that being said, the market always will do whatever it wants to. And if you're wrong, then just accept you're wrong and take the loss and come back again the next day. It will be unfortunate and annoying to take 2 consecutive losing days in a row. Okay, nice push down here. We're going to be patient and hold. Again, I don't see any reason that this thing pushes up, so I am going to be very, very patient and just, like I'm almost willing to say I'm fine taking a loss today to let this really become a big winner. It'll be very unfortunate if this thing bounces here and runs all the way back up and stops me out, but again, it just kind of is what it is. Looking at delta, looking at the way the charts are, looking at what it's rejecting off of the highs, this thing should flush quite far actually, but again, the market is always going to do what it wants to, so you just never really know until you're out. Extending this trend line, you can see that this old trend, which was a support to the long side, is now a resistance. You can see it just bounced off of it, so hopefully it continues down and doesn't want to get back above that at all. Gonna remove that anyway. If this ends up turning into a loser, then in hindsight I'll say I should have sold 1 contract as soon as it touched the deviation, but just going to let myself be greedy here and wait for it to touch where I have it set earlier. pushing to the upside here. I would like to see sellers coming in again on the delta. We'll look to add a third and final contract. Essentially, I'm just stacking short.
Order filled.
Adding a third. So now we're basically all in short. When I'm in a large position like this, I do look to take profits really quick. We're going to put all these together, and I'm just going to move my stop. I'm gonna I have to have a tight stop, obviously. Give it a bit of a chance to go, but again, we'll risk 985 on this one. If it stops me out at 985, then I will be done for the day, unfortunately. Going in with a 3 contract trade does make my trade day a lot shorter, that's for sure, as I'll either be up quick or down quick. Dang, man, it looked good on the delta for it to come short there. Good resistance here. VWAP was above. It made sense for it to drop, or it makes sense for it to drop. You can see the ES is forming the same sort of a pattern. All I need is just one good flush back down to this node, and I'm happy. Adjust my take profit there. Take profits at 965. Go for 1,010. Starting to chop sideways. This may have been the bottom. It may not have been. Not entirely sure what it wants to do. I'm really hoping that it breaks short. just moving the take profit out of the way. Most of the time I like to just let it come back and stop me out somewhere profitably, then just aim for any sort of specific profit target. At the moment, I just haven't seen a profit that I think is enough for me to take and get out. I very well could have moved my stop up and just got out for like $100 somewhere just to be out of it or to reduce the risk rate. But again, I really think this should be breaking down to the short side. I think any sort of sellers that come through on the delta right now will absolutely kill this thing, and we'll get a new low. It's just a matter of those sellers coming in. You know, after this whole rejection of the, and I can extend this out here, but after this rejection of the high and the way it pushed down, rebound and back, starting to come back down, I just think it should continue. Again, if I'm wrong, then I'm wrong, and I'll just get stopped out here. And the delta buyers are coming back in and pushing this back in. And that looks like that's going to be it today. I think the issue I'm having right now is I'm buying on periods of expansion, and then I'm holding through, you know, the contracting periods where it's chopping around, rather than buying and selling like in these contractory periods where it's not moving, and then selling when it's stuck. Although I wouldn't necessarily say that's the case for this one, because it's, I don't know. I'll be honest, if this pushes down now, I won't even be sure if I was really correct or if I'm just lucky. Again, not quite enough for me to want to move my stop up just yet. The unfortunate truth of it is that may have been all that I was going to get. We'll see. We'll see if these sellers finally come through. Kind of like I was saying, if any sellers really start to come through here, this thing is going to make a new low very quickly. And so that's what I'm looking for. It's just it's not quite playing out that way. Trying to be patient, trying to sit through the drawdown and let it go. Trying to keep the emotions out of it as much as possible. Yeah, I think even if this thing pushes down here now, I don't know if I'm just lucky or if I'm actually correct, if my analysis and my thought process is actually right. I mean, objectively looking at it, would I want to be long or short right now? I would rather be short than long at this very moment. But it's just not playing out as I want it to. It's not making the new low. It's not getting down there. And the delta is starting to come against me now. An hour into the day, yeah, the delta is getting bullish. This thing's fixing to run up. Or maybe not. I'll say one thing that I know I'm right about is that after this sell and the way the volume adjusted, there's a ton of resistance here. So I would definitely much rather be short here than long. I am gonna move my stop down here now. I have no business keeping it above anything. Hopefully it continues down. If it does, I will get a big winner for today. If this continues to run down here, if this stops me out, then I'll just accept my small gain.
Stop filled.
So stopped out there, up 105 on the day. I'm trying to debate whether emotionally I'm okay to continue trading. I think my analysis is right on the day. I mean, it played out in my favor, so I'm gonna assume that I'm correct and not just lucky. It's just that was actually quite stressful seeing this come against, or trying to come against me so hard. Again, I want to say, if this thing pushes up to VWAP and bounces and starts coming back down, then take the short again, right? Like the delta is not doing as much as it's trying to create like a little bullish pattern. It's not actually, buyers are not actually in control of this as much as it's trying to be. I would only say like go long if it gets above VWAP, pushes, and then like pulls back. So that's the second alternative, right? The first is wait for the VWAP bounce, wait for it to hit the top of this range, and as soon as you see it start to get bearish and come down from this, take the short. The alternative is to wait for it to get above this and then look for a pullback to it, or just honestly just take the breakout, because I think the breakout trade above this range would be valid. Because obviously there's a lot of resistance here. And you can see the delta. The delta just made a high, like a local high off of all this. So in theory, the delta, if it does break above this, should be able to shoot and go test opening range high. But you're seeing divergence here, right? Like you're seeing the delta is up here and the price is like trending downward. So there's a divergence. So something's gonna happen here pretty soon. Whether it's long or short, I'm not entirely sure, but something should be happening here. We should be getting a big push in either direction. And you see the ES is selling off. See, the ES looks more normal. like with what the delta is doing, it makes sense with what the chart is doing. The Nasdaq, for whatever reason, looks strange to me. Like it looks like it should be selling off really hard, and it's just kind of not. Maybe it will here. In which case that will kind of be, unfortunate for me because I got out and I was holding 3 contracts. But again, just like the stress of holding all three, like it's just too much for me to want to sit there with 3 contracts on. As much as I would love to make back everything I lost yesterday right away, it's just not good trading, or it's not good practices. Finally did get the break of the low. Let's see how far down it will run. I almost want to just take 1 contract on the breakout and say I'll scale short more if it starts coming back up. I think I will actually.
Order filled.
Normally don't take breakouts, but we'll take the 1 breakout. I'm also kind of unsure of this because of the way the delta is looking. Like why is the delta pushing up so much and the price is coming down? Like, this actually doesn't make any sense to me. If someone has any explanation or any understanding of why that's happening, please let me know, because I'm thoroughly baffled as to how the delta can be pushing up like this, and you can have the chart making lows. Let me get out of here. Let me get out of here because I don't understand this divergence. If anything, I would think the price would follow the divergence itself, not the other way around, right? Because this is showing that people are marketing long, basically. I kind of want to market long.
Order filled.
I'm going to market long because I think that the price should follow the delta. I don't think the delta is necessarily going to follow the price, because delta is not based off of price like that. Usually, what's it called? The cumulative delta is essentially showing, not the exact number, but like it's like a rate basically of it's comparing the number of people marketing long versus people marketing short. So if you're seeing the delta pushing up, then you're having a higher number of people marketing long. So with the price coming down and the delta being up like this, it doesn't make any sense. So I'm actually going to add
order filled
another, because really this thing should be making highs actually, just based on delta alone. And I'm not going to target anything crazy. I'm just going to try and target, where it's been getting stuck at. And as much as it always hurts to be wrong, if I am, then so be it. Like I don't think my understanding of cumulative delta is wrong. But I'll be honest, I don't think I've ever seen the delta push. Let's expand this actually so we can see. But yeah, I don't think I've ever seen the delta push up this far, and we're so close to like making a low. Like it just doesn't make any sense to me at all. Well, maybe I do have a wrong understanding of delta then. That's nuts. And I'm in here with 2 contracts. You see, this is the push down that I wanted earlier. Then it happens when I'm in here long. Why I'm in here long, I honestly don't know, to be honest.
Stop field. Stop field.
I'm gonna have to go review delta. Because for this to have happened, there has to be some aspect of delta that I'm missing. To be honest, I'm getting a little tired of all the indicators. A big reason of why I've stopped using MACD is, in all my back tests, I've literally, you know, without exaggeration, I've taken hundreds and hundreds of trades on multiple different time frames with MACDs, and it didn't work. Using I've used different risk reward ratios too. Like I've taken 100 trades, more than 100 trades for sure on the 1 minute and 5 minute time frames each of, if the MACD gives a sell signal and you're underneath the 200 EMA, taking all those trades, and it didn't work. And same vice versa, right? If you're above the 200 EMA and the MACD gives a long signal, then going in and taking the buy, and it just didn't work. It didn't work with the 1-to-1 risk reward. It didn't work with the 1.5-to-1. Didn't work with the 2-to-1. Just didn't work. Period. And so when I saw that, I was like, well, the MACD, I'll use it for information, but as far as like any sort of entry signal, I think I'll leave it alone. I had the same experience with, well, I've deleted the Bollinger Band chart. I had a Bollinger Band strategy that was on here and just religiously followed it and back tested it, and the Bollinger Band, I could not get to have any sort of, put it this way, if you're using a 1.5-to-1 risk reward ratio, any strategy that is correct just 40% of the time will break even. And so really I was just looking to find any sort of like mechanical system that would be profitable more than 40% of the time, and I could not find one. So there's actually another YouTube channel called Trading Rush, and oddly enough, kind of does the similar deal where he'll go and back test a bunch of strategies and show the winning percentage and all that. And I've copied a good number of those strategies and actually gone and gone into replays and tested them on multiple different time frames, and not once have I been able to get any of those strategies to be profitable consistently. Like I've never been able to match his percentage. So right, so like I think his MACD strategy had a 62 or 64% win rate, and when I was using it, it was like 30 something. So how can it be wrong that much more? So I think I'm a bit done with all these indicators. I think that was a very like perfect example of it, right? Like I don't get how cumulative delta can do all this and make a high and push this far up only for the price to be making this low here. So I don't know. Example, if I just was totally ignoring cumulative delta, I would have kept looking at this to go short and to take the short off of VWAP. I never would have considered taking this long here, and I wouldn't be out. What am I out? 1698 on the day. So disappointing. That'll be it for today. We'll be back tomorrow. Back in the combine. Tomorrow's gonna be a trying day though. I think if I have another large losing day, 3 consecutive big losing days, I may end up having to reset in a step 2, and I haven't had to reset a step 2 in quite a while actually. Granted, normally I trade 3 contracts and I just scalp and move my I move my stops up quickly, so that I think it's almost easier that way. I thought it would be less stressful to scale into trades, but I'm finding it to be much more difficult to try to be accurate. Not accurate, to try to be correct and win over these longer, it's not really a long time frame, but it's a longer time frame than a scalp, right? Usually my scalps last all of a minute tops. We can go look at average trade time. Average trade time today is 8 minutes. Longest trade today, 23 minutes. So definitely a lot longer of trades than generally what I take. Example, on a 3 contract trade, I would have shorted here, gotten out wherever, and I would have shorted this again and gotten out wherever. Anyway, It is what it is. Not much to recap. For those who are just clicking onto the video and skipped to the end, I thought it was going to go long just looking at the trend from this morning. It did. My first trade was solid. Got out of it a little early, but that's all right. We bounced off the opening range high and came down. I thought I would get some, I could scale in based off of buying off of VWAP. Uh, didn't pan out and it kept coming down, so I just, closed my trades early instead of taking a major loss there. Uh, Started buying long, sorry, no, I'm sorry. I decided to flip short underneath VWAP and shorted the VWAP bounce. Uh, it came back to VWAP and then, started coming back down again, shorted it a second for a third contract, I'm sorry. Held those until uh, I got out just a little bit profitable on the whole day. That was solid. And then I saw Delta pushing up and saw this big divergence, so I decided I would just long this. Unfortunately, that didn't work out, and the market sold off on me, and so now I'm, in the red quite significantly. But that's it for today. We'll be back tomorrow.